Hey, everybody, it's Lisa Lane Brown from The Courage to Win. And here is a mental trick that made Gretzky, Phelps, and Kobe unstoppable. And you will absolutely love this. It's so easy, and you can do it right away, today, tomorrow. You know, Wayne Gretzky wasn't the fastest skater, and he certainly wasn't the biggest player. And Michael Phelps won Olympic gold with his goggles completely full of water, and he couldn't see a thing. Well, Kobe Bryant said that his 4 a.m. workouts weren't even about physical training. You know, these three athletes dominated their respective sports, but they all used the same mental toughness technique to do it. And here's the thing, it's not a genetic gift, it's a skill. And it's one that you can learn and that I can learn and anyone can learn. And I'm going to explain how it works right now. So let's start with Gretzky. You know, sports writers often talked about how Gretzky had an incredible peripheral vision. Like, you know, he could see the whole ice at once. And Gretzky said, no, that wasn't it at all. He said it was fear. He said, I was always the smallest guy on the ice. At 5 years old, he was playing against 11-year-olds. At 14, he was playing against 21-year-olds. And of course, at 17, he was playing against grown men. So he didn't have size. He didn't have the hardest shot. He wasn't the fastest skater, but he had developed something that was even more important that none of these players had. He learned how to see plays before they happened. In a fraction of a second, he could visualize where the puck was going to go and where every player on the ice was going to skate. He wasn't reacting to the game. He was anticipating it. And here's what most people miss about this. This wasn't magic. He trained himself in this skill deliberately, right? He built a mental library of plays, of patterns, of scenarios, and he ran them in his head constantly. And that really is what we call the great jock mind at work. Well, let's talk about Michael Phelps. You know, his coach, Bob Bowman, did something very unusual with Phelps when he was a teenager. He said, he would always say to him, hey, you need to go watch the videotape. Well, there was no actual videotape. It was mental visualization. Phelps would close his eyes and he would swim his races in his mind. Every stroke, every turn, every breath, he would touch the wall and he would see and hear the crowd going wild. And he didn't just visualize the perfect race. He visualized all the things that could go wrong. Goggles leaking, competitors swimming faster than he thought they would, muscle cramps, suit malfunctions. Again, a mental library of every possible scenario and rehearsed how he was going to respond to each one. So when disaster actually struck at the 2008 Beijing Olympics, when his goggles filled with water on the 200-meter butterfly and he couldn't see anything, he did not panic. He just counted his strokes. He knew exactly how many strokes it would take to reach the wall, and he rehearsed this exact scenario in his mind hundreds of times. He touched the wall, world record, gold medal, blind. And Bowman said later, by the time Michael gets up on the blocks, he has swum that race hundreds of times. That's the great jock mind. Now, Kobe Bryant was famous for his 4 a.m. workouts, and everyone thought, oh, he's just outworking everyone. But Kobe said that wasn't the real point. The real point was mental preparation. Kobe would rehearse every possible scenario before games. How he would react. What if he was double teamed on the baseline? What if the shot clock was winding down and his first shot option was gone? And he studied his opponents obsessively, right? Not just their plays, but their tendencies, their tells. How did they move when they were tired? Therefore, when he was in the game, he wasn't thinking. He was just executing. Now, he called it the Mamba mentality. But here's how he actually defined it. He said, I'm focusing on the process, trusting in the hard work when it matters the most. Now, this work wasn't just physical. The mental rehearsal was the work. And so by the time Kobe stepped on the court, he'd already, again, played that game so many times, hundreds of times in his head. So here's the pattern. Gretzky didn't react to the game. He anticipated it. Phelps didn't hope things would go well. He rehearsed every scenario, the good, the bad, and the ugly. Kobe didn't just outwork people physically. He prepared mentally for every situation. All three trained their minds to see and feel their performance before it happened.